Welcome back to the Acting Magic channel. I'm Steve, the Acting. Today we're talking about WUBRG. How do we play 5 colors? Let's talk about it. So if you're not familiar, WUBRG is white, blue, black, red, and green, as you see on our Magic the Gathering back there. So a lot of people love playing 5-color decks, but how do we build our mana bases? These are some of the cards that I like to use and abuse to make sure that I always have my colors. All right, so first up, no surprises to anybody in the room. Whenever I say Wayfarer's Bauble is a must. For 1 generic and then 2 generic to tap and sack it. It says sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield tapped. Almost 90% of the time, whenever this is in my opening hand, I'm going to go find myself a forest. And the reason why is so much of the rest of my mana ramping is reliant on green mana. So Wayfarer's Bauble is so good because even whenever I don't have any green mana in my hand in the opener, if I have Wayfarer's Bauble, I can certainly go get it on turn 2. Expedition Map, though, is 1 generic, 2 generic, and then tap sack. It says search your library for a land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. This is any land, so I can go get a Triumph with this. It's fantastic. It says then shuffle your library. I love Expedition Map. It's fantastic. Both of these are easy includes in any WUBRG deck that I ever play. All right, so let's talk about this further. Sylvan Scrying. Sylvan Scrying is going to go get any land from our library and put it into our hand for a green and generic. Awesome. But Farseek is going to do something almost better, I would say, because it's going to be able to get a lot of colors. So Farseek is a green and generic. It says search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Everything but forest card. And put it in play tapped. Fantastic. So any of our triumphs just goes straight into play tapped. Fantastic. We'll talk about triumphs if you're not familiar, by the way, at the end. All right, forests. I love me some forests. So these are all ways that we're going to go and get forests from our library. And so Nature's Lore is a green and generic. It says search your library for a forest card, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. There's a lot of forest, swamp, forest, island, forest, blah, 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 blah. Lots of our triumphs. Nature's Lore is just going to go get those and put them into play. It's almost like a Farseek light. Same with 3 visits, does the exact same thing. Searches your library, puts it on the battlefield. Does not necessarily put it on the battlefield tapped. Interesting to note. Gaia's Bounty, though, is a 1 green, 2 generic. Search your library for up to 2 forest cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library afterwards. So these are that Gaia's Bounties are just going to put them in your hand, but still, it's going to be so powerful to get exactly the colors we need. All right, Ranger's Path, Skyshroud Flame, and Hunting Wilds. These all go straight into our library. Find forest cards, not basic forests, forest cards, and puts them into play tapped. All of them, and they're all for 4 mana. So we are basically 2 for 1ing and making ourselves perfectly on time for our 5 mana turn. So Hunting Wilds, these are all great, okay? Hunting Wilds also has the benefit of being able to be kicked later in the game if you really want to. All right, cool. Next up, gates. So if you're on a budget, gates are awesome. So open the gates. We'll search your library for a basic land card or a gate and put it in your hand. Again, this is why we're running heavy on the green, is because this way we can cast open the gates really early in the game. Go get that gate that we want from our library, put it in our hand. District Guide is also going to do that as a creature. So if you have any kind of flicker effects, District Guide is fantastic. Puts it into your hand, basic land or a gate card. And then we also have Gatecreeper Vine. Again, goes in your library, searches for a basic or a gate card, puts it in your hand. The Circuitous Route is 1 green and 3 generic. It says search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gates and put them on the battlefield tapped. So in theory, if I have nothing but forests in play, Circuitous Route comes down on turn 4, and suddenly I've got all 5 colors, or at least I've fixed all 5 colors. And that's fantastic. It's amazing. So I love Circuitous Route. I love this budget route because it gives me the option of playing those 5-color decks without spending, $6,000 on land. All right, next up we have fetching. Okay, so these are our budget. Everyone should have 20 copies of these cards. Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds are functionally identical. They say tap, sack, search your library for a basic land, put on the battlefield tapped. This is awesome because generally speaking, if it's in my opening hand, I'm going to go get a forest turn 1. That way I can cast the rest of the spells that we've talked about in this guide. Okay, and then we have our straight up fetch lands. All fetch lands can be played in every deck. Even so, it seems absurd, but you can play an Arid Mesa, a red-white fetch land in a mono green commander. It can be done. It's kind of silly, but you can do it. But if you happen to have, say, a 3-color commander, and you have maybe, say, I don't know, shoot, blanking. Anyway, so if you happen to be dipping into, so if I was playing Atraxa doesn't have red in it, but Arid Mesa can now go find me any planes and put it into play for me out of my library, which is fantastic. It's just awesome, even though my deck doesn't have red in it with the Traxa. And then also just talking about those triomes again, these are all 3-color and they're all the enemy triomes. I believe someday in the future Wizards will give us the allied triomes. What I mean by that is if you look at the back of a Magic card, whenever I say allied or I say enemy, is if you look at the back of a Magic card, oops, sorry. Of course, I grab a double-sided card. That's silly me. Okay, if I grab the back of my Magic card, right? Okay, all right. If I look at the white there in the top, my enemy is going to be the black and the red. So in my blue is going to be green and red, and my black is going to be white and green, and my red is going to be blue and white. My green is going to be black and green. Okay, so what I mean by this is that if you notice, say, if we're looking at, for instance, green right there, right? If we're looking at green right there, and then we go back to, and it's the enemy colors are green, blue and black. Then if we look at Zaggo's triome back here, that's the kind of triome that they made. Notice the triomes they haven't made, if we go back to our example here, is if we're looking at the green, basically the green triomes, they have not made a green, white, red. They have not made a white, green, blue, or a blue, black, white. Anyway, so that's what we mean. If you haven't ever heard about enemy pie versus allied pies or allied fetch lands or enemy fetch lands, that's what we mean by that, is that across the way or neighboring. Across the way or neighboring. Anyway, I didn't mean to explain that at the end of this. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye. There's my button.